Hey there folks, Lenny Rudo here for Fish Talk magazine. You know, the arrival of blue cats in Chesapeake country has been a big deal. There are a lot of these fish all over the place. They're an invasive species. And yeah, they're eating just about everything. Perch, crabs, rockfish, you name it. Now what's happened is in the last few years, some of these fish have grown into real monsters and they're spread out throughout the Chesapeake watershed. They're in virtually all the tributaries, including this one, the Potomac. In fact, there are some real monsters out there. Now, truth be told, you can catch these fish on anything. I mean, heck, if you think about it, you can catch a 10-pound largemouth bass on a bamboo pole and a bent pin if you try long enough and hard enough. But if you're using the right tool for the job, people, it's a whole different story. Now, as it happens, Okuma has come out with an entire new lineup of rods called the Cat Slayers, which are designed specifically for these big blue cats. And Okuma is a Fish Talk sponsor. Thank you, guys. So we've invited them out here today to see what kind of difference it makes when you're using the gear that's designed for the fishery versus regular old stuff. Now, we have with us today John, our Okuma rep. What's happening, John? Good to see you. Thank you for coming. We're gonna hopefully this guy's not gonna outfish me. We're gonna see. And we got Alex from Anglers. What's happening, Alex?
How you doing?
Thank you very much. And people, we are ready to go do some fishing. First pull every time. Now, generally speaking, rule of thumb, you're going to want to look for fish on a drop off of some sort. And of course, if you're on a boat, it is very helpful to have a fish finder. I wouldn't call it a must have, but you know, it is nice to be able to know that there are some fish around you. If you're fishing from shore, and there are many areas right here on the Potomac, you can cast right out from the shoreline and catch a ton of big blue cats. Fortunately, on this river, you can cast out far enough that you can get into the channel pretty darn easy. And really in any area with a relatively sharp drop offshore where you can get to say 20 plus feet of water, that's going to be a good bet. All right, we got the anchor down. We're ready to give it a go. I'm going to grab one of these first. This is an Okuma Custom Blue. Now this is a rod that I got for jigging for rockfish on the bay. Works out great for it. And we're going to see what the difference is between using this and a Cat Slayer is. And well, shucks, one thing right off the bat, I've got 3 ounces of weight on here. I'm not sure that's going to be quite enough for the current. Any more is going to stress this rod out. Right. John, why don't you grab that Cat Slayer? And I think we can put a lot more weight on that rod.
Yeah, a lot beefier rod. That's the Cat Slayer Custom, one of Okuma's new rods for the year. Really beefy, reel seat on there, double locking. Has a very nice stainless steel hook keeper, double foot stainless steel guides, and a very durable fiberglass blank. So with the UFR tip on it.
Why don't we get out a 6 ouncer? Alex, you want to grab a 6? Hand him a 6. Go ahead and get that guy on there. And you know, one of the neat things about the tips on these rods, that what do you call it again? There's a
UFR.
UFR, and they're really they're sensitive. You can see a bite.
Right.
But they got a lot of beef.
And very durable.
And that really counts when you're getting into these big fish. If you get a really big catfish and you're in a heavy current, you kind of need to high stick the rod to pull that fish up to the net. And with a little rod, you got to really be careful. You might break it. That guy's not going to break.
Got a lot of backbone right there.
Now, rigging wise, everyone's got their favorite. What I like to do is a couple feet of 40 or 50 pound mono going to a circle hook. This is a small circle hook for the big fish. This is really more of a eater size catfish hook right there. 6/0 is about as small as you want. 8/0, 10/0 is really good for the big guys. We've got it on a fish finder rig, so the fish can take line without feeling that weight. And again, you know, on this rod, because I use it for the rockfish, I've got 15-pound braid on here. you know, that'll work. You can catch a big fish on it. These cat slayers, they're loaded up with 40-pound braid. You can put out a lot more firepower with that rig than with this one. One really important thing, people, remember when you're using a circle hook, don't bury that hook in the bait. You want to leave that entire point completely exposed. It's very, very important. If you try and hide that hook in the bait, that circle hook isn't going to grab on the fish. Naturally, camera guy is the first guy to hook the fish here. He's got it on the slayer. It looks like a decent fish. Oh yeah. Now that's a good thing that's on the big rod, not the little rod. That would be a little tougher with the little rod. You gotta watch that anchor line too. You gotta horse these fish away. Oh yes.
Nice fish.
Holy mackerel. 42 pounds of blue catfish.
Cat slayer.
Now I got a little guy on the little rod, which is fortunate because if I hooked a fish like Zach's, I don't think I'd be able to reel it in with this rod. But what we got here is a great size eating fish. He's gonna go in the box. You know, I gotta say, compared to the one that he just caught, that's kind of embarrassing. There are a couple other things about the cat slayer we want to point out. The first is, the regular cat slayer is a 2-piece rod. Now when you get the cat slayer custom, that is a single-piece rod. You also want to be aware of the fact that these are painted with UV paint. That's why they're the bright colors. They're super bright, and at night you can still see them. If you look at the custom blues over here, they'll be much harder to see in the darkness. But in the darkness, if a big old catfish comes up and gives a yank on that line, you're going to see that tip bobbling around. Another thing that I like in my catfishing rigs is to have a bait feeder reel. John, why don't you tell us about this one?
Yeah, this is a Ceymar bait feeder. The switch in the back here allows you to disengage the drag system and give you a free spool with the bail closed, which is great if you have multiple rods out for catfish, 3 on either side of the boat. You're not going to get all tangled up because your bails are closed, your line is taut. So, and then to disengage it when you're going to fight a fish, just simply turn the handle and it disengages, and now you've got your front drag that's taken over.
And of course, as John mentioned, you know, if we were really going at it whole hog here, if this boat were set up for catfishing, we'd have a lot more rod holders. We'd have 3 rigs cast out on either side of the boat. We'd fan cast them around. Bulking up the spread really will help you catch more of those blue cats.
Got him. Nice.
Nice blue cat, not like Zach's. Almost as big as mine. Almost. It's a good eater though. All right. Nice job.
Nice fish.
All right, one little tip for you folks. These guys can be kind of hard to handle. Sometimes you can get your hands around the back, stay away from those pokey fins. They will hurt you. But a nifty little tip, if you forget your fish grips, as I did today, you can take a large lure like the spoon, basically use it like a hand gaff. There you go.
Thanks.
Hold him up for a picture. I want a picture.
Yep.
Another tool you definitely need when you're going after these blue cats is a pair of pliers, because their mouths are like rubber. You got a good hold of him?
Yep.
There we go. Now you want to notice how that tip, even though it's a stout, strong tip, you can see every little bump of that fish. That's that UFR tip in action. Try him out. Let's see if he's on it. Yes, sir. There we go. Again, doesn't look as big as Zach's was. There he is, another good eating fish. All right. All right, here we go. Got one on the little rod. I hope it's not too big. But you can see right off the bat how I can't push that fish. He's just kind of doing what he wants to do. It's not a giant one. There he comes. Gosh, he's not even as big as I thought. Zach set a high bar for us here, people, okay? But he's getting a lot of help from the current now. We got that current flowing. There we go. Another good eating blue cat. There you go. Good eating fish right there. That's pretty clear, people. This fish is nothing like the 42 pounder that he got. But you could see how hard the rod was working to catch that fish. When you have it on the heavier rod that's really appropriate for the big catfish, it does make one heck of a difference. Yes, sir. How's it feel? He's putting a bit of a bend in there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that current helps him out a lot. There we go. Why don't you show him that circle hook, because that's your bigger fish hook right there. That's your 8-aught. That's going to be a good pick for you. Nice fish. All right. Bait-wise, we were using cut white perch, cut mud shad, and also some bunker today. And all those can be effective baits. Cut fish is normally a really good catfish bait. Of course, you can learn more about that aspect of things by watching our video on fishing the Potomac in particular for blue cats, which is on FishTalk's YouTube channel. But beyond that, I hope you found this video helpful. I'd say our biggest gear botch today was probably the net, right? We certainly could have used a bigger net. If you're gonna go out and try and get those monster blue cats, people, go prepared. Don't miss another cool Fish Talk video. Click below to subscribe.
So they're going to be expanding that catfish series quite a bit. They've got 2 right now, the Catfish Slayer and the Catfish Slayer Custom. So in the future, they'll be bringing that a broader assortment.